Putin Has Lost by Colin Liddell. Long story short, Putin has lost. He had already lost even before he ordered a full-scale invasion of the Ukraine, or recognized the two fake breakaway republics in the eastern Ukraine. In fact, he lost even earlier than that. Putin lost when he parked the bulk of the Russian army along Ukraine's border, in a flagrant attempt to bully concessions out of Ukraine and the West. This was a move straight out of Hitler and Stalin's playbooks. At that point, the subtle chemistry that had ensured Vladimir Putin's success was destroyed, and with that he became powerless. For over 20 years, Putin has been a powerful presence on the global geopolitical stage. But this power has always been based upon an unresolved contradiction. That between the ruthless dictator and the pseudo-democratic politician. The ruthless dictator could impose his will upon the Russian people, while the pseudo-democratic politician could pretend to them that they had chosen him in free and fair elections, helped along by a clown opposition made up of the Communist Party and Vladimir Zhirinovsky. The ruthless dictator could also impress Westerners with his brutal glamour and dark charisma, while the pseudo-democratic politician could mollify them and reassure them that he wasn't really a monster and was well on his way to being just like them. This dual nature of Putin was the key to his success. However, in the weeks leading up to the present crisis, the ruthless dictator ripped off the mask of the pseudo-democratic politician and completely discarded it. But this did not make him a stronger dictator. Without his pseudo-democratic support, he just became a brittle, weakling dictator, lashing out in a futile attempt to bolster and assert his vanishing power. This is exactly what the attack on the Ukraine is. Sure, the Russian military is strong, at least stronger than the Ukrainian one, and the Russian people are strong. But they now have a president who is no longer seen as a careful and calculating leader, or as someone you can even do a deal with. In fact, there is now a suspicion that he is clinically insane. With the brinkmanship game that Putin was playing during the Winter Olympics, it was clear that he had deteriorated into someone you could not enter into an agreement with. Any agreement with someone like him would be worthless. This is exactly the same mistake that Hitler made, something that became his biggest weakness. But it's not just international diplomacy that was affected by Putin's unraveling. This eclipse of the pseudo-democratic leader by the ruthless dictator also poisons lesser relationships, like the ones that tie governments and societies together. Putin's actions have not only made the lives of ordinary Russians much more difficult, they have also toxified his relationships with his own elites. This all happened before the recognition of the fake breakaway republics. Everything since then has merely been a doubling down on ultimate catastrophic failure. We are now in an ongoing military situation that is demonstrating the qualities of the Russian and the Ukrainian armies. What we are seeing is a tactical situation unfolding. The strategic decision, however, has already been decided. Namely that Putin's days are ended. Even enormous tactical success won't change the larger facts. Putin, in his stupidity, still thinks it will. He hopes that Russian shock and awe and blitzkrieg attacks will defeat the Ukrainian army before it realizes it's been attacked. He expects it to melt away, or wake up one day thinking it's Russian. He also thinks that if he's fast enough, he can pull off a fake coup and put someone in power in Kiev, whom he can control like his stooge in Belarus. But none of this is about to happen. While impressive in parts, the early indications are that the Putin blitzkrieg is heading for the shitskrieg. The Ukrainian army is putting up much stiffer resistance than Putin expected. Also, there have already been numerous peace demonstrations in Russia itself, with Putin's goon squads arresting hundreds and possibly thousands of people. But these are mere details in the bigger picture. Even if the Ukrainian army collapses and Putin pulls off his lightning war, the real problem he has is that there is no finishing line. He has started a race that doesn't have a termination point, except for his own fall from power and death. If he gets to Kiev and puts in some Ukrainian version of his Belarusian puppet Alexander Lukashenko, what then? Is the war over? Of course not. Putin will not be accepted, and nor will his quisling stooge. The war of tanks and bombs may die down a little, but what about the diplomatic and economic war? What about the new war between Putin and his people, between Putin and the relatives of dead Russian soldiers, between Putin and his own oligarchs who have seen their wealth annihilated in its western bolt holes? By casting off his pseudo-democratic pretensions, Putin does not emerge as the 100% strongman that his idiot followers in the West believe. Instead, he emerges as a feeble, fragile, and brittle dictator, ready, like Ceausescu in 1989, to be hunted from his palaces and suspended from a meat hook. The pseudo-democratic politician was always a big component of Putin's poisonous but potent alchemy. It was the pseudo-democratic politician who kept the disgust of the West at bay while they continued to buy Russia's gas and oil. It was also the pseudo-democratic politician who used his charm to persuade Angela Merkel of Germany to veto Ukraine and Georgia's applications to join NATO. The pseudo-democratic politician was in fact the harder working part of Putin's overall image. But now that image has dissolved into a poor parody of 1938 Hitler, a creature that the rest of the world knows it can never trust or do a deal with again.